Right then, this is a walk around video on a rather windy day unfortunately for an absolutely beautiful Honda Civic. This is a 2.2 ES diesel, one of these newer shaped ones on this vintage, with just 60,700 miles. Finished in white, and it looks absolutely stunning. It really is in beautiful condition and fully serviced by Honda throughout its life, apart from the last service which we actually conducted ourselves. Front of the car really clean, hardly a mark anywhere. Stone lights, fog lights, completely clear and intact. Bonnet itself is really clean with only the odd very light stone chip. Coming to the near side first, very clean on the panels, no obvious indentations at all there. Front wing completely clean. Near side front alloy completely unmarked, and that's the one that takes all the bashing, so it's done very well indeed. Panel works really beautiful. Near side rear alloy again completely unmarked. Come around the back of the car, rear bumper corner again really clean, no marks there at all the way around to the off side of the car. Driver's side this time, and again, as with the near side, just completely clean on the panels. It really needs to be seen, this vehicle, because it is absolutely beautiful. Offside rear alloy again completely unmarked, and then the remaining panels wonderfully clean. And final alloy again to complete the set. It's in beautiful condition. It really is a fabulous looking car, which is in beautiful condition as well. Coming into the back of the car now, into the boot area, absolutely enormous boot on the Civics, of course, and it's been kept wonderfully well. Nice to see this one actually benefits from having a spare wheel, a space saver, rather than just the inflation kit. It's coming into the back of the car now, really wide opening rear doors, and the interior, as with the exterior, is in just beautiful condition, which this rather grainy early morning video isn't going to do justice to, unfortunately. The fabric's in wonderful condition, unlike so many Civics which have been used, as ours is, for family use. Front passenger door card again in beautiful condition, as are all of them. All the little recess has been kept wonderfully well. And then passenger seat in the front here again just looks as though it's been given hardly any use at all. Driver's door card again, fantastic condition. Footwell areas again all very clean, and driver's seat again in wonderful condition. So sat inside the car now, engine's running through this section so the dash can be seen illuminated, which looks to all intents and purposes as new. I mean, they are beautifully made cars in here as well, by the way, but everything's just been kept so wonderfully well. And if I come up to here, hopefully you can see we've got the mileage there showing at 60,700 miles. Put the car into reverse, get that rear gridded parking camera all working exactly as it should. Oops, wire snagged, always a danger. And then come back here and you get the view which you get as a driver of this simply stunning dashboard. And it really is. There's no warning lights on the car at all, of course. I wouldn't expect there to be on a Civic, but there's nothing here at all. But really is a fabulous looking car, and then it's said this is one of the very best in the marketplace. Just to quickly show you, owner's manual pack, lock and wheel nut key, both here and present with the car. So finally, just come under this absolutely beautifully presented engine bay. This is the norm with Honda. You can see there, i-DTEC engine, cam chain driven, no cam belts to worry about at all, but being kept beautifully. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic 2.2 ES diesel. This particular car is registered, I'll read it in a second, WP12CXZ, and mileage at the start is 60,701 miles. The reason we do these videos is essentially so that anyone that's looking at the car in an advert online actually gets to see that very car in operation. We're aware that many of our customers travel vast distances to come and see us, certainly from all over Europe. So the least we can do is go to the time and effort to do this. And the reason being that we've been on the receiving end ourselves of going to see cars which look great in the description and on the photographs, only to get their driver to find out it's got a fundamental issue which would have manifested itself on test drive. So that's why we do it, and we'll let you know if there's anything to report back. Road test is also done on part of the road test route that any prospective buyer would go on. Reason for that is so that hopefully it'd be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. This particular vehicle we know very well actually, because we sold it to the gentleman last time round. He's just bought a Honda CR-V from us, so it's a car that we know very, very well indeed. We're the last people to service it, so prior to that all of it was done by Honda, but it's just a lovely, lovely car in every way. They've always been a lovely car, this generation Civic. It's a beautifully made vehicle, but it's just fabulous in every sense. But I'll go through the major mechanical stuff as I always do. Starting with the engine, starts absolutely instantly, of course, settles to a completely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car, and temperature gauge is currently at a 3rd, which is exactly where it should be on a Honda car, whether it be a petrol or a diesel, and the car's been running for quite some time now. The engines are just wonderful. It's just a lovely, smooth, powerful, torquey. We put a foot down there, you just don't know it's a diesel when you're certainly when you're sort of the higher sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th gears. It is incredibly smooth. I've always loved this 2.2 engine. I'm a massive fan of it, because it's got all the things you want from an engine. It's wonderful in day-to-day operation, as some of its competitors are, but what it is also is incredibly reliable and long-lasting, and that can't be said of some of its competitors. But the engine, can't fault it. I mean, it's obviously very low mileage for the age of the car, so it's most of them are sort of 100,000 miles or so by now, but this one is being treated very gently indeed. Engine then feeds through clutch into gearbox. Clutch on the car, absolutely perfect. Bike point is exactly where it should be. It's lovely and smooth in operation as well. Gearbox is just joyful to use. Can't feel anywhere in the linkage at all. It feels absolutely perfect in that sense. The gear change quality is something that Honda worked very hard at getting, so it gives it a lovely mechanical feel when you're changing gear. It's slick, it's precise, the synchro mesh is brilliant. It really is a class act. Come to the steering of the car, again, real strong point on the Civics because it works perfectly with the rest of the chassis. The track's absolutely bullet straight. There's no vibrations at all coming back to the steering wheel at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit. But it's just a lovely, fluid, precise, accurate power steering system. It is, again, exactly what you'd want from a car. And it works with the chassis because the chassis is very direct. It's very quick to change direction, beautifully damped, very poised to the corners, but it allows for a very comfortable ride as well. Certainly when compared to the last generation Civic, Honda took on the criticism of the last one, which I always loved, but it was very quick, wonderfully dynamic, but some people found it a bit too harsh. I never did, but particularly people in the sort of town centres would find them a little bit clunky. This seems to have addressed all of those because it's very, very, very comfortable indeed. But it's lost virtually none of the dynamic nature of the previous generation. What I'm looking for on road test as well, by the way, is just any kind of noises that shouldn't be there. When you hit a bump, you'll hear it hitting a bump, albeit subdued, but there shouldn't be any kind of chatterings or knocking noises, and there's nothing at all from the car. It's exactly as it should be. Brakes on the car, just going to give them a little bit of a shove, make sure no one's behind me, but I know from the pre-delivery inspection pads and discs are in lovely condition, but bear with me 1 second. Give it a nice hard shove. There's a really nice brake pedal on the car, nice and powerful, no vibrations or pulsing coming back through the brake pedal, and it pulls it up nice and straight. It doesn't sort of pull violently left or right. It's all good there. Inside the vehicle, as I often say on videos for the Hondas, it's they don't do justice really just to how beautifully made these cars are, and this is real build quality. When we look at the car now, it's coming up to nearly 8 years old, and yet you drive it and it feels as new. It is not even a hint of a creak or a rattle. They are sensationally well made cars. Everything working exactly as it should. Every switch, air conditioning pumps out lovely cold air. We checked that in the warm workshop earlier this morning. all the gauges, but the dash itself is wonderful to operate because it's so different. It's, you know, Honda have made a real effort carrying on the theme from the previous generation, albeit with more soft touch plastics around here. It's slightly more conventional down the side here, centre here, but you've got switch gear of the very, very highest quality. Every button has that wonderful kind of click, click, and beautifully damped actuation to it. And then my favourite part, as always, this wonderful two-tier design directly in front of me. So what Honda have done is put the stuff up high, which you want to see on a regular basis, to the extent that even things like when you change your fan speed or your temperatures, you get the readout down here, but also high up there, so you're not taking your eyes off the road. That also doubles up as obviously a rear camera, but also gives you, you've got an information display system, and obviously the readout for the radio comes up there as well. Next to it, this your speedo basically, which is just perfectly positioned. It's high up, you can look at the road ahead, pedestrians, traffic, whatever happens to be, about the corner of your eye, clearly see what speed you're doing. It's just genius. Either side of there you'll see two green lights currently, because I'm in economy mode on the engine. You can switch it anytime you want, and that's just telling me I'm driving it economically with the car. If I put my foot down harder now, it subtly changes back to blue and then back to green again as you back off. It's very subtle, it's not in your eye the whole time. And if I turn it off on the button here, it just stays solid blue the whole time, so you don't have to use it. But it is effective. You do gain a bit in economy with them as well. Down below you've got obviously more conventional pod of 3 dials, nicely laid out, with the rev counter flanked by the temperature and fuel gauges. Then we've got auto lights and auto wipers on the ES model. It's a very nice spec car. Cruise control, which works perfectly, and also you've got a limiter, so you can set a speed limit on the car as well if you so wish. But all working exactly as it was intended to. You know, as I said at the start of the video, the point of them, as brief as they may be, is just to show the car in operation, but to let you know that before you come of anything that we're aware of whilst driving the car that you'll pick up, there's nothing at all on the car. It has been beautifully kept, and it drives exactly as it should, regardless of age or mileage. I'm not giving it any allowance for that. And I hear that so often when people go and look at cars and the garages say, well, it's a used car, 8 years old, well, what do you expect? Well, this drives every bit as good as any Civic I've driven of any mileage. So if you've got any questions, don't hesitate, please do give us a call.